Today, you're going to learn how realtors can leverage AI in ways that I promise you haven't thought of, but will absolutely blow your mind. Stay tuned. This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. How many homes are you going to sell this year? Do you have the right tools? Is your website turning soft leads into interested buyers? Are you spending money on leads that aren't converting? Well, Real Geeks is your solution. Find out why agents across the country choose Real Geeks as their technology partner. Real Geeks was created by an agent for agents. They pride themselves on delivering a sales and marketing solution so that you can easily generate more business. Their agent websites are fast and built for lead conversion with a smooth search experience for your visitors. Real Geeks also includes an easy-to-use agent CRM. So once a lead signs up on your website, you can track their interest and have great follow-up conversations. Real Geeks is loaded with a ton of marketing tools to nurture your leads and increase brand awareness. Visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod and find out why realtors come to Real Geeks to generate more business. Again, visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod. And now, onto our show. Today's episode is brought to you by Corded.io. Are you looking for agents to join your brokerage or team? Now, as a real estate recruiter, I can tell you the answer is always yes. But most agents aren't looking to move right now. So how do you know who to contact? Well, what if I were to tell you there's a recruiting and retention tool powered by artificial intelligence that shows you exactly which agents in your local market are looking to leave their brokerage right now, and which agents at your own firm are also looking to leave you? Now, I've been recruiting realtors for 15 years and I've hired over 2,000 agents. I can tell you with no exaggeration, this is the tool I've been waiting for. Corded's AI looks for trends across dozens of variables for each agent in your market and shows you which agents they believe are likely to move. Not only does it do that, but Corded's AI went and visited my recruiting website and read everything I offer. So now when I'm recruiting, Corded's AI tells me exactly what to say based on that agent's needs and what my brokerage can offer. It even writes emails for me. I've never seen anything like it, and I use it every single day. Now, if you are looking to grow your brokerage, Corded.io is the best tool out there. Visit Corded.io to schedule a demo. Again, that's Corded.io. And now, onto the show. Welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I am your guide and host through the show. And in just a moment, we're going to be speaking with top producer Tim Burrell and also AI expert. And he is going to share with you some ways that you can use AI in your negotiations, starting before the negotiation all the way to the very last moment. It is totally blew my mind. I couldn't be more grateful to Tim for sharing these strategies, and he's going to share them with you. And he's also going to have some giveaways for you, so you can just reach out to him and get some of his amazing prompts that he has pre-written. So in just a moment, we're going to talk to Tim. But as for anyone that's new to our podcast, thank you. We appreciate you being here. Welcome. And if you are returning, this is now our 7th year, and we have about 700 episodes. So you feel free to go back through the archives, watch or listen to any of those that you'd like. And also, the best way that you can help us is by checking out our sponsors, checking out their products and services, and also telling a friend about this show. We really appreciate it. It's how we've grown over the years. And please tell other agents who are interested in learning from top 1% producers about Keeping It Real. That is how we keep this whole machine running. So thank you on behalf of all of us for an amazing 2025. We're excited to do even some more and creatively different things in 2026. We're not straying from our existing formula, but we are adding on some cool ideas. And I'm in some talks with some companies right now to do some really fun stuff. So I'm hopeful to bring that news to you shortly. All right, let's get right to it. My conversation with Tim Burrell. Best advice you've received in real estate?
Be authentic. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to copy somebody else's program. Be authentic. Just have be your real self and have empathy for the people that you're working with, because it's that connection that you'll establish with your clients that will prove your worth.
Authenticity. I like it. And empathy. That's what I'm hearing. Now, worst advice you've received in real estate?
Prospect like crazy and try to work with absolutely everybody. The thing that is delightful about getting a little bit older is I only work with people I like. And it makes a huge difference, because do you really want referrals from people that you can't stand? Because they're going to refer you people just like them. You'll get more people you can't stand. So select who you want to work with.
So be willing to walk away.
Oh yes, yeah, and sometimes it's just delightful moments when you fire a client. It has that great feeling of, there's some people that I really enjoy what I do. I really like to help people get into houses, and it just makes me feel absolutely fabulous when first of all, I take a lot of people that otherwise can't get into a home, and folks that buy houses are 40 times wealthier than people that don't buy houses. I work with a lot of people that are not being facilitated by the real estate community. To me, that is huge. But the thing that really does my heart good is things of that nature. So taking people that deserve it and work with the people that deserve it, and use all of your greatest efforts and all your empathy to do the absolute best you can, and don't let the bums wear you down.
I love it. And since we haven't introduced you yet, so I'm about to, but I'm going to throw one at you that you did not know is coming, because you have 45 years of experience here. And I would like to ask you one last question. If you could give advice to your younger self, maybe 45 years ago, starting in real estate, what would you say to yourself?
Invest in real estate earlier. I do a tremendous amount of work to get other people real estate in homes and investments. And the thing that would have been smarter if I'd started investing in the product that I know so well even earlier in my life.
I love it. Tim Burrell is our guest, and he is an amazing person. He's a triple threat. By the way, Tim Burrell is with RE/MAX United. He's in California. You are all over, but mostly Orange County area. Is that accurate?
Once upon a time, I was in Palos Verdes outside of Los Angeles. I still have a lot of friends there, but for a brief time, I had a real estate team in Palos Verdes. At the same time, I had a real estate team in Raleigh. Currently, I'm just in Raleigh and do a large amount of work in anything that touches Wake County, which is the capital county in North Carolina.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I thought you were West. For some reason, I thought you were Orange County. Maybe I was looking at the RE/MAX United, and maybe that's their headquarters there for some reason. So North Carolina, that is amazing. So Tim Burrell is our guest. He is a rare triple threat, and he is a licensed realtor. He's an attorney, and he's a general contractor. I mean, it's really an amazing set of skills there. 45 years of experience, hands-on, turning complex deals into profitable outcomes. He's a graduate of UCLA School of Law and inductee into the prestigious RE/MAX Hall of Fame. He's channeled that hard-won expertise into 3 must-read books on negotiating: Create a Great Deal, The Art of Real Estate Negotiating, and his newest one, which I'm most excited about, The AI Negotiator. We're going to be talking about that here. And soon to be published, another book, his 4th book coming, is called AI Real Estate Investing: Practical Guides that show agents and investors how to leverage both timeless negotiating principles and cutting-edge artificial intelligence to gain a decisive competitive edge. I want everybody to go pick up The AI Negotiator. It's called Dominate Real Estate Deals with the Power of Artificial Intelligence. That is available on Amazon. We will have a link to that on the show notes. And I want also everybody to check out Tim in all of the things he does. He does negotiation, consulting. He will help you with continuing education. And you want to go to negotiationconsultant.com. Tim, I just want to make sure I got that right.
Actually, it's negotiatingconsultant.com, but
my apologies. We have negotiating consultant. We will have that link in the show notes. You don't have to type it in. Don't listen to me. And just click away and check out Tim. He's the real deal. Tim, let's jump right into it. Your newest book, Artificial Intelligence and Dominating Deals with Artificial Intelligence through Negotiating. So tell us about how AI is changing real estate negotiating.
One of the most important parts about negotiating is establishing some kind of rapport with the other people. I really advocate collaborative negotiating, working together. If you do negotiating right, it's a communal puzzle solving. We are not adversaries, we're not enemies, we are counterparts. We're both parts of solving that puzzle. And to get to that mindset, you need to establish some kind of rapport. And one of the things that AI does particularly well is to give you information about the other person. And so
Oh,
what
it's so interesting. I love that.
Yeah. So what I've got a super prompt that I use before I talk with almost anybody and find out something about them. The best illustration I can give you on how not to do this is a wonderful ad that Allstate is running now, where this family is there. They're all UNC people with the proper color of blue, and they're getting ready for this game. And the daughter is having this boyfriend over for the first time, and he shows up at the front door in a Duke jersey. Big adversary. They slam the door on him and throw him out. Well, there's a lot of realtors that start their negotiating process in a similar manner by being tough, confrontational, and difficult. Instead, find out something which you've got in common, establish some sort of rapport, get some kind of relationship going, and then work on solving the problem. So I pass out this super prompt rather regularly if you want. Well, if somebody wants a super prompt, all you do is send me an email with super prompt in the title. I'll be happy to send it to you and share it with you for free.
And what's that email address?
Yeah, it's tim@timburrell.com. And you can see
and 2 R's and 2 L's in Burrell. Tim@timburrell.com.
Exactly.
We will have a link to that in the show notes. Super prompts are everything when it comes to AI. And most agents, I haven't really been taught what we call prompt engineering, which is how to write these incredible and I just wrote a prompt for a friend of mine who wanted to do a marketing audit. And I had, of course, AI write the prompt, because what knows AI better than AI? And I am not kidding you. I took the prompt and put it into a PDF because it was so long. It was 14 pages long was the actual prompt. Yeah. And I presented it to him and I said, copy, he had to fill in a little bit of it. It wasn't entirely, plug and play, but it was almost. And he was like, this is the biggest prompt I've ever seen, but it was doing an entire brand audit, and it was that intense. So yes, Tim has great prompts for you. Don't try to just write everything, because a good prompt takes a while to write. It really does. And Tim's got some for you. So thank you. But the idea, let's go back to the idea first real quick, because the idea is getting information about the person on the other side of the deal. What kind of information do you get when you end up running these prompts?
Basically, what I want to find out is something we have in common, and something we can establish. Something, for example, your kids both play soccer. You went to similar schools. You root for the same teams. You have any kind of connection that you can put together. You have quite a bit of background in technology that's greatly exceeds mine, but I'm sort of fascinated by it. So you and I could talk a few of those items to begin with. There's quite a bigger range, of different information I get, but in the prompt, it gives me the other person's background, their education, their experience in terms of business, what things are important to them, certain other social aspects. Goes through all their social media, highlights some of those things, looks for things in my social media, compares it to theirs, finds something we have in common, and then begin with that, goes with that. That's also one of the things that you're exactly right in terms of teaching realtors about the values of prompts, because in the AI Negotiator book, I spend quite a bit of time going over, this is how you prompt. And then there is an appendix in there that has 7 steps to get a great prompt virtually every single time, as you've done. Start with the persona and then just work your way down on all the different other topics that can get, and finally end up with detailed instructions on exactly what you want. Then once it comes out with something, then talk with it, go back and reprompt. That previous answer was pretty good, but what do you need from me in order to get me a 10 out of 10 answer? And then it'll tell you just how to prompt, just like you were saying. Who knows prompting better than AI?
Yeah. Tim, I have to compliment you because this is really funny. So this didn't occur to me until you were just telling me when I said, what kind of information do you get? You said, well, I knew you had a technology background. What's funny is earlier, Tim and I we were the software we're using, we were having a slight challenge and we were working out a problem. And then Tim said, yeah, you have this technology background. And I thought, oh, he's saying that because I'm helping him with this particular challenge. I didn't realize that you had done research on me, and that's what you were referencing. And now that I know that, if we wouldn't have had that challenge, I wouldn't have thought of that. I would have gone, wow, this guy did his research on me, which of course you are doing. And I just wanted to tell you that is a very flattering position. Even though you do this for everyone that you're meeting with, it feels very, very affirming. It's like, wow, this person spent time to get to know me, and that is a rapport builder. That's what Dale Carnegie wrote 100 years ago: is ask them about them, or find out about them. And that is, I was telling agents to do a version of this, on the way to a showing. If you're going to a showing and you have never been there before, and I think maybe that's not the best way to do it. If you've never been to the property, maybe see if you can visit it ahead of time. But if you can't, or even if you have, throw in a prompt on the way there. Tell me everything ChatGPT or Claude or whoever, about XYZ address. What would somebody who's looking to buy this place want to know? Is there any cool history or trivia or facts about the area, amenities, things like that a buyer would want? And of course, you want to use a persona. So maybe as a travel guide, you could use the persona, or a top agent who's the number one listing agent in this area. What would they say about this property? What are some of the facts? And it's amazing. Like you said, you found out my background, which is amazing. I've never even run that for myself. And now I realize I need to do that for all of my guests. So you just gave me but this is amazing, because you can use this not just in negotiation. You could use it anytime you're going to, maybe a showing and the other agent's going to be there, right? You could do this, and you should do it. And you could say, hey, by the way, I know that we're both Cubs fans, or I know that we've both been in the business 15 years, or it seems like you do a lot of X, Y, or Z. Boy, I can't imagine how much goodwill that generates.
Well, and so many people get off on the wrong foot. You come in and spit on their shoes, and it's not going to work out after that. Particularly, my style of negotiating is all collaborative, and what you need is a certain amount of trust. And you're not going to share information with the other person. If you can share information to find out what's important to them, and I find out I know what's important to me, then we know what the key ingredients in the negotiation are. There is so much more breadth to negotiating than most people think. Almost everybody concentrates only on price.
Sure.
And if you can broaden that out, there are different trades that you can make. The fancy word is asymmetry. What you're looking for is something that doesn't cost me much that I can give you, but you value incredibly highly. Well, if I give you that incredibly valuable thing for you, I can get something in return. And so, as a result of this, you've got to start on the right foot to get that trust feeling, because otherwise, if you share information with somebody who's not going to respond, who is not going to be trustworthy, who's not going to work with you, you're digging your own grave. You're giving them something they can use against you without getting something in return. If instead you can start on the right foot, establish rapport, have it be so that everybody shares and everybody uses this for some kind of good result, you're going to come out with a completely different result. Negotiating is collaborating and is working together. And frankly, we mentioned empathy at the very beginning. Your biggest factor in negotiating is empathy. Harvard Project on Negotiating has a tremendous number of very esoteric books. But one of the best things I learned from them is each year they interview the person who has had the best result in some major negotiation. And the winner almost always, they ask them, what's the most important factor? And it's almost always empathy. So that's one of the things that we realtors excel at. We read people. We can have some feeling for who they are, what's important to them. And if we can utilize that empathy to understand, okay, what is it that they really want? As an example, after you and I hang up, I'm working with a gentleman who called me back. I fix and flip properties, and he bought one. Well, he happened to inherit one. Unfortunately, his daughter died, and it's a horrendous loss to him. But he's there, and when we talked about, he's looking at some of the online places where he can just sell it, but he says, I don't want to put it on the market. I don't want to deal with this property. I don't want to have to go back here anymore again.
A lot of bad feelings, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. He says, the thing I value about you is I can hand you the keys and you're just going to take care of it. Well,
Yeah.
that's really important. And that factor in the negotiation, I need to get a decent price and I need to make, the flip work. But the value I can offer him is that particular non-monetary value. And I can get something in return for that. So that's the best illustration that people need to understand. Negotiating is not just about one item. Negotiating has this huge breadth that you can utilize all kinds of different factors to succeed. Mostly emotion. There's more value in emotion in negotiating. You're going to win more deals on emotion than you are on logic every day of the week.
And if I'm sure there's research on what we would call reciprocation, where we are providing some sort of value, whether it's hey, I know about you as an individual, a human outside of this transaction, which is what your prompt helps find some commonality perhaps, or just I know your background, I know your history, I know things about you, which again is very affirming. People will, I would assume, will offer favorable conditions to people they like, right? So even
Exactly.
if I assume it not only does it obviously make the negotiation go more smoothly, but it probably helps in your favor, even if you're just building rapport because the person goes, I like this person. This person seems,
yeah. Robert Cialdini has written several great books on influence.
Oh, yes. He's the master of persuasion and influence. Yeah,
exactly. And that's one of his biggest things is people will do things with other folks they like and trust, and they won't, unless you establish that trust and rapport. So, and the other part about doing the research, like you're saying on a super prompt, as opposed, in addition to studying the person, let's say you're going to go into a negotiation. Wouldn't it be really handy if you're playing poker, if you know what the other person's cards are? You can do something very similar to that using AI by studying the house and the other person's situation. Just do a whole bunch of research and you find out what cards they're holding. Okay, this person has a bunch of financial pressure, therefore needs to get this wrapped up quickly. Therefore, if I can offer a deal that closes number one for sure, absolute certainty, but number two, quickly, then that's the value they're going to be looking for. So if before you start your negotiation, you do your research not only on the other party, the other realtor, but also on the person who owns the property and the house, then get that background to know what cards they're holding, then you know how to play the hand. And AI is a wonderful thing. It takes a bit of effort. It takes a while to learn. I'm glad you mentioned Claude. I really prefer that to ChatGPT. But there's a broad range of different AI tools that you can use. And frankly, that's another fun part. Ask AI which is the best tool for which one item, and they'll tell you which one of the other tools they ought to be using. Yeah. Refer you to somebody who is their competition, but it works out particularly well.
It is amazing how earnest AI seems to be, especially the Claude's model. I've noticed that it seems to be fairly generous in talking about competitors in a helpful way. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, and Gemini now is apparently starting to beat ChatGPT in its answers. So we're seeing all sorts of interest. It used to be just ChatGPT, and now there's Claude, and I mean, Grok is also one, and you pick one and you probably stick with it. But you're right to say we use it as a research machine. It's I think most agents just think to use it as a listing description rewriter, which is fine, and it can be done. Although I think I actually built a tool to help you do that better. It's totally free, listing.joinkale.com. It will rewrite it 7 different times from 7 different personas, merge it together, everything from like a best-selling author to a journalist to somebody who writes the trailers for movies to a top 1% agent, and it merges it together and it won't look like everyone else's. But again, you have to know how to write these prompts. And so this is what we're talking about. Yeah.
I particularly liked that one because I tried it out I've written something I've used some things to do mine, and I tried yours. And
you did? Did it work?
Yeah, it was great. Now, the one thing that's very interesting is that AI loves the word nestled. If you sit there, and
I'm going to remove that. Then we'll have it not use that. Then
no, it's a very appealing word. But if you do a lot of AI work, you can sit there and look at other people's descriptions. If you see the word nestled, they use little AI.
Yeah. There's, it's funny.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's funny you say that. The reason I said we're going to remove it is because I specifically have instructions in there not to use AI common speak. So that's
Uh,
one that it must have missed, because we all know some of those phrases get used over and over again. And anyway, but so this is wonderful. So you've given two unbelievably great suggestions for our audience about specifically how to use AI. And the AI Negotiator is the book. We will have a link to that. And this has all sorts of prompting. More importantly, it teaches you how to build your own prompts. And what else? Tell us more about the book.
It came about just because I'm rather fascinated by the different breadth you can add to your own ability, you know, in developing an AI, AI tools and AI prompts. One of the other things that's particularly handy in using AI is you can find out something about the other people's personality types. Say, I use the DISC personality profiles to
Sure.
look at different ways of doing things. And if you're presenting something to a D, you want to hit 3 bullet points, and that's about it. If you're
Right.
presenting to somebody who's a C, the engineer CPA type, you want to give them a nauseating amount of detail. Something that I find nauseating, they find delightful. And so there's a number of different AI tools that you can use. I go through a wide range of different choices that you can use just to find out what personality type you're probably dealing with. And so then you know how to structure your pitch and structure your presentation. If you're going to send an email and hope that the other agent's just going to forward it, if you're doing it to a D, you just have a couple of good bullet points and those real high things. If it's going to be a C, attach 4 pages of charts and graphs. And there's several different tools, AI things that you can use in there. And the thing that's fun about writing a book on AI, though, is it changes so rapidly. The book just came out. I'm probably going to have to rewrite it every 6 months, and go through updating. And well, that's why the second book is coming out for investors.
I love this. And I was just thinking, you talk about the DISC assessment. So DISC assessment is a very common sort of personality type test or just assessment to let somebody know kind of how people make decisions, how they think, and it gives you some insight into what is going to work for them and how to present and how to. And so, one thing I encourage I never thought to do this. I'm a recruiter. I recruit real estate agents. I should be using this before I meet with any of my potential recruits, instead of trying to figure out, are they a D and I, et cetera, on the call. I can probably get a good sense. How accurate do you find it to be for guessing what somebody's personality type is? Is it fairly accurate?
Relatively good. And you bring up the other thing about AI, because it hallucinates, and
Sure.
it's getting much better. When I first started in it, it hallucinated a lot. My best illustration is, some attorneys would sit there and take and let it write their brief and submit it, and
Bad idea.
it would cite a case that didn't exist. And then when the judge tries to.
Yeah, my fiance's she's a trial attorney, and she would use it from time to time just to do research. Say, hey, come up with some cases that fit this particular argument, and it would literally hallucinate cases that never happened.
Yeah. So one of the things that I find is, if you put it into one place, as an example, either Chat or Claude, and run it through there, then take and flip it over into Perplexity and have it double checks it. The thing I like about Perplexity is it gives you the sources. And so right in its answer, you can click on the sources. For example, I used to be a trial lawyer, but one of the things that I don't practice law anymore, but every now and then there's something that I have to look up. Well, one of the things that I'll do is look it up in general, and then go into Perplexity. And then occasionally, if there's something that just doesn't quite feel right, you click on the source, it'll give you the case. So then I read the entire case, and then I know that what I've got is accurate information before I open my mouth. This is also your biggest thing about establishing rapport and credibility, is you do something that's completely wrong, you just lost it. Trust is hard to establish, and it's real easy to lose. And so this is one of the things about AI, is you've got to double check it before if you just take and copy it and paste it and spit it out, there's a decent chance that there's going to be something wrong. Now, that's not horrendous. every one of us makes mistakes. I mean, you're never going to talk to somebody who's never going to make a mistake, who's never going to say something wrong. So that's normal. So it's not that lots of people think, oh, this AI is a horrible tool because it makes mistakes. Yeah, don't we all? And so if you just adapt to that, to the fact that it's not perfect, and double check before you spit it out, you're going to be fine.
I couldn't agree with you more. And so one thing that I've done with AI, I assume you've probably done the same, is AI is very often, and maybe it's getting better, but it was very what I've noticed is it would flatter me a lot, and it would tell me that every idea I had was a brilliant idea, and when many of them weren't so brilliant. And it would tell me that any business sort of venture I was thinking about going into was great. And I would go down these rabbit holes of like, wow, AI is on my side. It really thinks there's an opportunity here. And I have instructed it to not do that and tell me what its actual, its actual assessment of maybe an idea I have, or I'm working on a CRM right now that I'm kind of building from scratch, and I'm having it go through and say, let's go through this sales process. Is my sales process sound? Where do I have holes? Do not just tell me it's great. Look for holes, look for challenges. So I imagine you've probably instructed yours to do something similar.
Yeah, actually, that's something I need to do more of. And frankly, I've learned something by being here, because I just sit there and try to ignore it. But yeah. instead, if I just said, we don't need flattery, we need accurate, unvarnished facts.
Yeah.
If it's something really stupid, put capital letters STUPID. I want to know, as opposed to, oh yes, I agree. No. It's like having a non-friend. Somebody who always agrees with you, somebody always who will, no, you want to have somebody who has, a real discourse and a difference of opinion and a different relationship that you can have. And frankly, I haven't gone in and re-instructed it. I tried to just myself overcome it and ignore it. I think you got a better idea. I ought to just write a different prompt and say, you have a name for your AI, and so I want to go in and give it more instructions, saying, okay, one more thing you need to know about me: no flattery. If I need to hear something unvarnished, you need to spit it out before I learn it the hard way.
With ChatGPT, I have it. Some engineer had written this long prompt to put into its permanent memory. Claude, I don't think works exactly the same way. I'd have to see how to do this with Claude, but ChatGPT does have this in its permanent memory for you, as a user, where you can. I have it now give me an assessment at the end of the answer to say how confident are they in this answer, and it right. is only able, assuming it's following orders, to tell me the truth, and it will give me a flag, what they call a confidence flag. And it will say, right. Hey, we think this is it, but don't take our word for it. Look, and that really helps. And so I see some update to any of your AI books is a chapter on how to sort of tame AI and train it to be super honest and forthright and more objective versus subjective. So I see that as a good thing. Is let's prime AI not to just be our friend, because it's really not our friend. It's a tool. It's a tool.
Yeah. So and great. Thank goodness I haven't published the second book yet. I got to go back and do a little rewrite on the chapter. So yeah.
Well, I love this, and AI really does. What has it done for your business as far as, how much time has it saved you? How much more effective has it made you?
It's dramatic. Now, I've been in business a long time, and I've gone through a big curve. I used to run a large team, and I don't anymore. And so this is much more effective for me just to be able to do a whole lot of other things quickly and repetitively. Repetitive tasks, it's exceptionally good. Write something where it's supposed to check this, that, and the other, and give you flags and alerts when you're not on schedule. That's one of the other things that you can use very effectively in the AI negotiator. Is after you have put a deal together, it'll sit there and walk you through and keep you on track and make sure that you don't miss deadlines, don't miss other things. And there's a lot of other software that'll do that. But it really has decreased the number of people I needed to have on my team. And the AI is not particularly expensive. The other people on my team, they cost a little bit now, and frankly, they made more mistakes than AI does. So this has greatly improved my ability to perform more effectively with the people that I like.
Now, with negotiating with AI, my first thought was around what price should I offer? Now, are you relying on or are you using AI to help guide you in pricing strategy?
Fabulous, because what you can do is take an AI. Claude works better. Chat will do this fairly well. But go in there and say, okay, this is their situation. Here's my situation. This is what I'm going to offer. What are the probabilities of the outcome? What do you think their response is going to be? Because one of the things you anchoring is a big effect in negotiating. If you have an initial point that you start lower, you're going to end up lower. For example, I'm trying to buy something. If I can get a persuasive number that people will give some respect to that is low, the studies show that we're going to end up at a lower price, and so I'm going to do better. However, there's also a point where if you go way too low, it's insulting and you're not going to end up better. They're going to make you apologize. And so instead of trying that out in real life and run it up the flagpole and see what they do, go ahead and put it into AI. So take your offer and say, ask it for what's the most probable response. The other thing you can do is ask it for 3 different probable responses. So you can, as opposed to, there's a whole lot of negotiations where at the very end of it, you look back and say, oh God, I should have done this. Why didn't I think of that? Well, this way you can do it beforehand. It'll let you think of that before you have ruined the relationship, and it'll give you some feedback in terms of should you do this or should you not do this. But yeah, it's really good on just go ahead and role play it, and you practice it with them, and it'll give you a response. It'll give you the probabilities of your success or the probabilities of really making them mad.
You've given so many great reasons to why to use AI for negotiating. We talked about preparing for the negotiation, learning about the person on the other side, maybe learning about the deal, the property, the situation, building rapport, utilizing AI to get some commonality because we know like tends to favor like and those negotiations tend to go more smoothly and possibly better for your side, and also winning from the start, I know was also something. Is just crafting offers, knowing something about that personality type or the type of situation we're dealing with. One thing we didn't talk about, which I know is in your book, that I just want to spend a moment on because I think this is kind of blowing my mind, is real-time coaching. So this idea that during the negotiation you have this kind of real-time coach to kind of guide you through, okay, now this is happening and do this. Can you speak just for a moment on that?
Yeah, there's a number of AI apps that will sit there and analyze the interaction. For example, it'll read their emails and read their discussions, and it'll flag certain things where it'll notice a change in the tone and the change in the attitude, and flag that these people are getting mad, or so you're losing it, and it'll give you a heads up. Otter, a lot of people use Otter just to record what's happening. Say you're on a meeting and you use Otter to do it. Well, one of the functions it has is it'll give you a flag that's saying you're going off the rails here. Something's not going well. Now, I don't use it that much. One of the things I actually, I like to point out things in my books that aren't something that I use, but it shouldn't be me who decides for the reader what it is that's best for them. Sure. They need to know what's complete amount of what's available. I don't use those things that much because they distract me. I really like to focus on the people and really actively listen. Take a lot of effort on the listening, repeat back what they're saying, ask them again, further depth of the question of why that's important to them, and if we do that, what will that do for them, things of that nature. And so on a few occasions I've tried it, but my own personal preference is to use my own judgment of that feedback as opposed to the AI's judgment. It may be that can get better. And it may be that.
And if you don't have the 45-year career with law and real estate that you have, you can utilize AI to help give you some of that wisdom that it can find online. So yes, you have this amazing real life experience that you can draw from, that you are very confident in. And for everyone else out there who's maybe new to the business, use AI for this sort of thing, especially. And I know this is also in your book, and this is, I think, incredibly valuable, which is handling conflict. How do you actually deal? Because conflict, we know, is part of every negotiation. It's built into the process, and it is the most important part of relationships, is handling, resolving conflict, and AI can really help you. Can you speak for a moment on conflict?
Yeah, frankly, one of my best tools on one of my best tools on conflict is frankly getting old enough to where you're comfortable in your skin and you don't always have to be right. And one of the simplest ways to get the conflict to be over is everybody is sitting there. See, you don't want to let negotiating get into a situation. Oh, I need to win this one. I got to win this one. I got to win this one. You've got this puzzle that you have to accomplish. You have to put it all together. And so when you do find the conflict and when you can find something, you know, one of my best tools, frankly, is to apologize. And most people think that's nuts, because, oh, you're showing weakness. No, you're not. You're showing strength. You're showing the ability to recognize that there is something you could have done better. So if you back off a little bit and you apologize and indicate that there is something that you are part of the problem, that I created part of this issue, and maybe I could have done better had we done this. If you change the whole attitude where you show some humanity and offer that humanity, you mentioned reciprocity earlier. Well, you're going to get some reciprocity back by just, not having this pound, attack attitude. If instead it's, we're working together here and collectively we're smarter than we are individually. So if you find something that you can justifiably, apologize may be too strong a word, but if you can indicate that you recognize that you were part of the problem and that there's a better way that we could have done it, and I want to offer this as a better solution than what we've done before, that really helps. And the AI can point out a lot of the different possibilities and a lot of the different bits of information that you can use to reestablish that rapport. Now, as you said before, it will point out a lot of the things where things are going wrong, the real-time coaching. And then you have to be smart enough to figure out, okay, now that we've gotten into this mess, how do we get out of this mess? AI will give you a lot of data, but negotiating is an art. You've got to have the art form under your belt and the ability to figure out, okay, this is where we are. This is not where we want to be. What are we going to do to get from here to there? And that's frankly, that's where the art of negotiating. Well, that's why I make a few dollars off of being the negotiating consultant. People will frequently get themselves into a mess and I'll help them get out of it. But, same concept that when you get into conflict, you need to have the tools, and AI will give you some of the tools, but then you also have some of the training and some of that empathy and some of that gut feeling to be big enough to say, I could have done better. And if you start saying you could have done better and you want to offer some correction to what you've done, the other person will reciprocate. You'll both get back on track.
Yeah. And taking accountability is huge. And I found, I couldn't believe as I got older into adulthood, how many adults found it seemingly challenging to say, I'm sorry. So for the ones that do, oh boy, we love people that say they're sorry, don't we? Negotiationconsultant.com is the website. I want everybody, I think Tim has made an incredible case to purchase this book. The AI Negotiator, Dominate Real Estate, deals with the power of artificial intelligence. I mean, just in this the tips and tactics you've provided during this conversation, I have just been so impressed. And Tim really knows his stuff, and he has a lot of real world experience as well to throw in to really help you navigate AI to make sure you're utilizing it correctly and not over relying upon it, to make sure that you're holding it accountable for some some clarity and some objective empirical information versus sometimes the hallucinations that we've experienced with it. But the AI Negotiator will get you through negotiations so that it does truly become collaborative and resolves conflict and really just helps guide you from literally the beginning to the end, not just price, not just on resolving the end part, but literally before starting, it actually gives you information that there's be very difficult for somebody to get ahead of time without artificial intelligence. So, Tim, I love this idea. I think this is a brilliant idea and book, and I really want our audience to pick it up. You can find it anywhere. You can find it anywhere online, of course, but you can actually order it directly from negotiatingconsultant.com. There's a link there. You can go to Amazon. It's there. It's got great reviews, And I'm excited for version 2 that will come out later. But get this version now because very few agents are using it for negotiations. They're still just throwing it in for listing descriptions or getting information about a property. They're not really going as deep as Tim goes with you. And this will give you a huge leg up. So negotiatingconsultant.com is the website. AI Negotiator is the book. Find it on Amazon. And on behalf of all of our audience, Tim, thank you for your time. Thank you for your 45 years of experience bringing that to our audience. We appreciate it. And if you're an agent that is not in the Raleigh area and you are interested and you have people that move to Raleigh, give Tim a call. He might be a good referral source for you, and vice versa. If you have people that come from Raleigh, maybe they move down further south, although Raleigh is a pretty great place to stay all year round. But if you are one of those places where that's a feeder market, reach out to Tim. He might be able to have some great referrals for you as well. Tim, thank you. Also, we're going to have a link to your email. You can send out that super prompt as an example for everyone. We appreciate you. That'll just in the show notes. On behalf of everyone, thank you. On behalf of Tim and myself, thank you for sticking around to the end of the episode. Thank you for being one of our lovely listeners. And also, please tell a friend. Think of one other agent that needs to hear this, which is every agent right now. So anyone in your office that isn't currently a listener, please let them know about our show. Really helps us out, and we appreciate you. Thanks to our sponsors, and we will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Tim.
No, thank you. Really enjoyed it.